Welcome to the Adam Messer Show. I'm your host, Adam Messer, and I interview authors, artists, and entertainers. We discuss their process, how they overcome obstacles, and their creative works. I hope you enjoy the show. All right, everybody. We have a special show today. Have Bill Cooper and Marianne Cooper in the studio live.
Thank you, Adam. Pleasure being here. Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Hey, Marianne.
I am not much.
Y'all
This
probably
is the
know.
first time for me, Adam.
You probably know the Coopers from the Savannah at Night show. Bill's been doing this almost 2 years,
Almost three.
Almost three. Wow.
Yeah.
And Marianne, I know when I was a guest on Bill's show, you were the camera person.
Right. He generally has his own crew with him, but one of them had to have the day off for some reason or other. So I think I did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think you did great. I know you get a lot of people watching your Facebook Live.
That has made a difference, seriously, because we really don't get the ratings, how many people listen.
Yeah.
And I understand why. You know, this is nonprofit, and that is expensive to ask people, to ask the companies to do that.
Oh, yeah.
They can't do it. However, I noticed the people, my Facebook friends, so many more have heard the show simply because I put it on Facebook Live that may not have ever listened to it. So it's really been a big help.
I love the fact that with us being able to do the show on a radio station, being out here, because we're all volunteers.
Yep.
We come out here and we do our thing, and it's a lot of fun. So
but
I enjoy it.
Pay me a lot of money. They don't pay you yet?
Oh no.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I didn't know we were actually getting paid. Have to check with the board on that one, right?
Yeah, no, it's a candy jar there. That's how they pay me.
Oh yeah, they pay you. They pay you in peppermints.
One a week.
One a week. That's awesome. So I wanted to invite you onto the show, Bill and Marianne, because I met y'all this last year, and I just think it's really interesting. Because Bill, you do a lot of stand-up comedy, and you do the show, and then Marianne, you help. You're like I've met you a couple times, like when we had the little WRUU party, and then y'all just recently had like a Christmas party or whatever, and I just think it's so neat. So can we let me ask Marianne?
Sure.
Can you tell us how you met Bill Cooper?
Yeah. It's actually pretty interesting. I have a little bit different story than Bill has on this.
Oh, don't worry, because I have an interesting story about how Bill and I met too.
So this was back in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
In the Marlborough area. There was a gentleman who started to have a singles dance, and he geared them to the over 35 group. He really didn't want the little Bobby Sockers to come in. He wanted people who were looking for some socialization and dancing and music. And so it was the music of our era. And at the time, I had been divorced for quite a while. And I hadn't really gotten out and been social much. And when I heard about this, it sounded interesting. And they were generally held in fairly large hotels in and around where we lived. And they were free. Oh, I think there was a charge of $5 after a while, but the hotels had the grand ballrooms at that time, and so this gentleman would take the grand ballroom. He somehow made a deal with the hotel that they wouldn't charge him for the ballroom, but they could set up their bar there, and he would make money selling drinks, which he did, and it was very successful. And for the longest time, I went, and I was like the little wallflower. And I didn't know anybody. I think it took a couple of times going for people to recognize my face. And once I got out on the dance floor and somebody asked me to dance, then it opened up a little bit bigger. Anyway, one time they were having this dance at a really beautiful venue Oh, it was just a beautiful old house.
White Cliffs.
It was called White Cliffs. It sat on the top of this hill. It had Grecian statues going up the side on the driveway, and they were having this dance there, and their dances were getting more and more popular. You might think that there might be 75 to 100 people there, but there were 200 to 300 people
wow.
there. And so I really want to see what this place is all about.
And you all have been together like
28 years.
28 years. So
28
we're
years.
talking about
27 years.
the early 90s, right?
92
Yeah.
we get married. 91 we met.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So back then, anyway, it was one of those things that it comes on a Saturday night, and you know, and I'm alone, and no friends are going with me. Everybody is either hooked up with somebody or married or has kids, and my kids were old enough I could leave them alone, and you know, you fight with yourself. Oh, I'm going to go. Oh, I don't want to go. Oh, I'm going to go. I don't want to get dressed. I don't want to get ready.
Yeah.
So finally, I just said, I remember my aunt telling me, Mary Ann, nobody's going to come on your door and knock on your door and say, can you come out and play? So I got dressed, and I went. And Bill asked me to dance.
Wow. So, Bill, let's hear your side of how
We
y'all
actually
met.
met a couple of weeks before then.
Oh.
And it was on a Sunday night, and Sunday night were the least popular because people had to work the next day.
Yeah.
And it's the same around here, too. If you have an event on a Sunday night, usually...
Kind of like a radio show on a Sunday, right?
Well, that's why we call ours afternoon. But
That's
yeah,
one of the reasons why I like to do the podcast, because
Right.
it's like most people are not going to listen on a Sunday, but they'll listen to the podcast, and then they might tune in the next time.
there you go.
Yeah.
But you're getting, like I did, you're getting more attention to it.
Right.
By having the podcast.
Right.
And that helps the station. It gets the name out there.
Oh, I
And-
love it. Yeah. I keep all the plugs for WRU on. I don't cut any of those out on my podcast.
No.
You
why
get
not?
the way we're talking now is
Yeah.
the way it goes out. But you met her
All right, a few weeks before.
that.
And it was a sparsely attended one. My buddy and I, who lived across the street from me, we would go to a few now and then. So we go there, and it was very sparsely attended. There might have been, 30 people, opposed to the hundreds that can go.
Yeah.
But it was a night out. We liked the music. They played the music of our era, 50s and 60s music. So we were cool, just listening to it. And I remember asking
Kind of
Mary
like
Ann
a
to dance.
sock hop type thing.
Yeah, sort of. That's
Yeah.
what it was. And they played that music to keep the younger people out. They'd walk in the room and say, They didn't
gotcha.
want the 20-somethings that are there, just,
Yeah.
And they figured to be less trouble. And the 30 and 40s aren't going to get in a fist fight in the hallway.
Right.
So, I mean, they
Hopefully not,
They
right?
knew what they would. Well,
Yeah.
pretty much they didn't.
Yeah.
So, and it was, again, people would dress up nice, and they would go there. And it was, what I liked about it was, if I was at a bar listening to a band and I asked someone to dance, chances are 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4 that'd say yes. Oh, I'm here to to hear the music. Oh, I have a boyfriend. Blah blah. That's fine. I don't mind being told no. But there, you ask someone to dance, and they dance with you because they went there to meet people, and that was
the reason why they went.
That was what I
Yeah.
liked about it. So anyway, I asked Mary Ann, and we get up, we danced maybe two dances. All she told me was
Now this is the Sunday a couple weeks before that
the
she
ones that
remembers
she
meeting you.
forgot, the one that she's
Okay.
forgotten. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, and it was funny because
No recollection.
the only thing I remember of her was, I remember what she looked like, but she said that she was an identical twin. I thought, well, that's kind of cool, Anyway, after the second song, she looks at her watch, says, I got work tomorrow, bye. And it was like Cinderella. Gone.
Gone.
Well, that was cool. Anyway, so then I went that couple of weeks afterwards, and I happened to see her, and I say, excuse me, are you the twin? Yeah. And then we started dancing, and at the end of the night, I asked her if I could call her. And I walked her to the car, and she noticed I didn't write down the number. And
So I thought.
But she didn't know that,
You got that
if I'm
steel trap up
interested,
here.
I will remember those numbers.
You
And I
memorized
did.
it,
And I
yeah.
called her like a few days later. Not, I didn't
What
wanna,
did you think when he didn't write it down, Marianne?
I just thought I was never going to hear from him.
Like, yeah, you wanted my number or whatever.
Just kind of being polite and
Yeah.
saying good night. And so it was a bit of a surprise to hear from him.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Were you? Was it like a kind of a love at first sight type thing, or was it just kind of more like a slow ember that turned into a fire?
Well, I wouldn't say it was love at first sight. I think things escalated pretty quickly because you just get a sense of what's going on. We were both independent people at that time and both on our own. We kind of knew what we wanted and what we didn't want in a partner. And those things were being met with each consecutive date. It got a little bit more interesting. He met my family. I met his family. And so within about a year's time, little less than a year, we decided to get married.
And the thing is this, and I tell people that, oh, I'll never get married. We were not looking to get married, neither one of us. We had, and once again, if a marriage falls apart, it's a sad thing. And I never put anyone down. If I was involved with someone, they have their side of the story, I have mine. You're not going to hear my side of the story because that's putting someone down, and I won't do it. But it was like, at that age then, I'm saying, I'm not going to get married again, but it doesn't mean I don't like to go out and have a good time with someone, a date, a friend, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what Marianne said. The first thing I liked about you was when you spoke so well of your family. She said, that family means a lot to me.
Oh, yeah.
And she says, that's what I first liked about you.
That is really cool. I can't believe it's already time to do the station announcement. You're listening to WRULP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. And my son, Sebastian, talking about family. Bass, you want to play some for us? Yeah. Sebastian Messer is in the studio today, and he knows, he plays for us here and on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and here is Sebastian Messer, and he's got a band called Krieger. It's a thrash death metal band, right? But here he goes. Thank you, Sebastian.
Thank you.
That's the first time I've heard Sebastian play.
Play live, yeah? Or play at all.
Play at all.
Wow, yeah. He's been playing, almost 4 years now, Bass?
4 years in March.
Yeah, 4 years in
He
March.
was telling us earlier, yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we went to a pawn shop. Well, actually, I bought him. My wife and I bought him like a little acoustic guitar when he was little, but he never really got into it. And then, you guys started getting into wanting to do music, and we went to a pawn shop and bought him just a little inexpensive guitar and an amp. And I told him, I said, well, if you decide that you want to do it and you get a little better with it and you practice, and took him to 2 lessons, Bass? That was it. Yeah, he went to 2 lessons, and but he's been playing since, and I just think I enjoy listening to it. But I think it's a lot of fun, especially when you see one of your kids doing something. It's like
Do you play any instrument yourself?
I don't have a musical talent like that. I like to write and draw and stuff, but.
Yeah, all right. That's that's your art is in a different direction.
Yeah, yeah. My wife is creative too, and speaking of my wife, we met in '97, and it was kind of funny because we met December the 5th, 1997, and
my brother's birthday, my younger brother.
A great day.
Yeah, but
we kind of, I don't know. She didn't really pay attention to me a lot, and at first, and she was kind of like whatever, but then we hit it off, and we've been together ever since, and we just celebrated our 20th anniversary, wedding anniversary.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
Yeah, but I just think it's interesting because I've known other folks that they were married later on in life as well. Mm-hmm. Like they kind of got where you're talking about how you met because you wanted to go out and socialize, and it's not the point of going out to get married, but it's just going out point and have fun and meet other people in your age group that have similar interests. Yeah, because it is kind of weird. Like I haven't been to a club or a bar, since I was like 21. I couldn't imagine, like, if God forbid something happened with me and my wife, I would just be like a hermit crab. I'd be like, I don't want to date. I don't want to. Especially with social media and stuff today, it's so awkward. But
Well, we didn't have that problem. There was no social media
Right,
back
right,
then in the
right.
early 90s. I mean, it was in its infancy, but nobody was walking around with a phone in their hand.
Yeah, like, oh, hey, let me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So
a camera, yeah.
how did y'all end up coming to Savannah?
Well, I think Bill probably has the story. Bill had a son who was stationed at Hunter Army Airfield,
Okay.
and he would come down and visit Jimmy during his vacation times and some of his time off. And he just thought it was such an interesting place. Was not able to explore a great deal of it because he really wanted to spend some time with his son. And he just felt that it would be some place that would be interesting to retire to. So when we married, we were very fortunate to be able to do a little traveling. And don't know if you know, but Bill took a very early retirement.
Well, that's something you retired after 29 years, right?
29 years,
Correct.
and that was 27 years ago.
And that's the crazy thing about it because you must have started there when you were like 18 at the post
19.
office. 19.
yeah.
Yeah, and so by the time you were already retired when you met Marianne,
Right.
And you were still in your career.
He wasn't quite retired when he met me,
Okay.
but shortly after, just before we got married, in fact, we moved the date up about a month or so because we didn't want to.
Someone get that? Oh, thanks.
The bell's ringing. One track mind. He felt that we should get married because with the government, it's difficult to get the
Change
paperwork straight.
Yeah.
So,
I remember it well, Mary Ann.
but I think you have a better the story about coming down here, and though it was after we married and we were able to do some traveling. Very fortunate to do some traveling. We hooked up with a trailer and a truck, and
Hey, how you
off
doing,
we
Coop?
went. And there's some company at the door. So, but anyway, that was the start of why we came down here and why we were traveling and why when we were traveling, we would travel in the wintertime because we came from up north.
All right.
So we would travel in the wintertime, and it was generally the southern route. And when we came back, we would stay at Skidaway Island State Park. And first time we were there, it was 2 weeks, and then it was 3 weeks, and then it was 2 months. And
Oh, wow.
But this was a plan.
It was a
I
plan.
love this city. There's something about it when I first come here to see my son when he was in the service. I couldn't believe the beauty of it. I
Yeah.
mean, we had history and a little bit, like a little smidgen about what Savannah was about, and it never stuck in my mind. But something about it, even remember in history, it was a pretty name for a city. And it seemed interesting. And I just totally forgot about it until I came down to visit my son, and I was stunned at how beautiful this city is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I moved down here in 96, the week of the Summer Olympics. The week
Oh,
of the
that's
Olympics.
right, yeah.
I moved down here, and I was here for like a year and a half or so between here and Statesboro, and I just hated it. I hated it because I was from Cincinnati, and I didn't like a lot of the people that I had met, and I didn't like a lot of the things down here because it wasn't really much for a young person like me to do.
Huh?
Yeah, well,
You were in your 20s, weren't you?
no, I was 19 when I moved down
Oh,
here.
okay. Yeah, there's nothing for you to do
Yeah.
until you're 21.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I didn't like I didn't like it. The first time I moved down here, I didn't really like it because, I didn't make a lot of friends, and
That
you
makes
know,
a difference. Sure.
Well, and a lot of it, I look back, it's like a lot of it was just my attitude. It was I don't know. I was going through a lot of things in my life, and so I moved away, and that's when I met my wife, and then we moved back here in '99. And I've loved it ever since. I love Savannah. I've met a lot, my best friends are all from here. And, and I had a whole different change of attitude. I know it sounds like awful young, but by then I'd already been living on my own for a while. And,
But you're still 19. I don't care what you do, whether you go in the service or whether you hang around with your folks, whether you go to college, you're still 19. That's
Yep.
young.
Oh, yeah.
You think hey man, I know everything on the planet right now, but you don't, and that's a natural thing for a teenager to feel that way.
Well, I had moved from Cincinnati to here, and I was used to being able to go to like clubs and things like that, and that's
Right.
what I wanted to do. And there wasn't a whole lot of selection here. And then I had met people honestly, there's still a lot of like racist people in the South, but Savannah seems like there is an eclectic group of people.
Absolutely.
And that was one of the things that I liked when I came back. The first time, some of the folks that I met, I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this backwards way of thinking and, things like that. The second time I moved here, I just met a whole different group of people.
Well, that'll do it. Seriously. I
Yeah.
mean, there are people that'll drag you down. Oh, they try to. They're miserable, and they want you to be miserable too.
Yeah.
And those are the ones you have to avoid.
Well, and, even today, my wife and I, we've been together, and I have friends that growing up, even knowing them down here, that they've been married and divorced, they've had their different things or whatever. And, my wife and I, we've been fortunate to, have a good marriage, and we love each other and we do things together. And, and like you said, I don't want to put anybody down. I don't want to say anything
Right.
negative about
Exactly,
anybody.
yeah.
But I try to avoid people like that. I disengage
That's all you can
from,
do.
Negative people.
Marianne has a great saying, and I love it, and I've adopted it. You can't change anyone. All you can do is set a good example.
Yeah. That's a great.
Yeah.
That's really nice. So, Marianne, with that, what was your career? What did you do?
Well, I was a nurse.
Okay.
I had worked for a nursing agency up north. It was actually in the office doing some coordinating and coordinating nurses with times that facilities needed
Okay.
to have a nurse there.
Right.
And so when I came down here, I didn't continue working for a nursing agency. I thought I'd like to try something different. So I went into hospice nursing.
Oh, okay.
And that was my career down here in
nice.
Savannah. And I did that for about 17 years.
Oh, wow.
Not always full time. It started off 4 days, and then several years later it trickled down until finally it was a 2-day a week job for me. But I loved it. I was very happy doing it. But there comes a time in a career that you need to take some time for yourself.
Yeah.
And
I can understand
this
that.
was the time.
Yeah, I can understand that. Did you just recently retire?
I retired at the end of April.
This year?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was sometime this year. I remembered one of the days that I think we're overlapping. I was leaving out and something like that, and you all were talking about it or whatever. But that's pretty cool. I would like to actually talk a little bit more about that life philosophy, because you two have you met later on in life, but you were still pretty young, right?
We were in our 40s.
Right.
Well, still young.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Still, that's what I'm saying, like, you've been together 29 years, and I think it's really interesting because you have every time I see you two together, you're always happy. You seem like you get along. You seem like you're friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you enjoy each other's company.
It's interesting. I think you're right. There are so many similarities. It's almost strange. Even to some of the foods that we like that are not normal things that some of the leftovers that we enjoy.
Like
some
what?
of ham and pickle sandwiches.
Oh,
Who
okay.
likes ham
With
and
mayo.
pickle sandwiches? Mayo.
Yeah.
Love it.
So
I like a good Cuban sandwich.
yeah,
Oh,
well,
it's
that's
delicious, yeah.
delicious. And some of the
That's
music.
the only time I've
and
ever had like a ham and pickle sandwich. It was Cuban.
Right.
and some of the music and some of the people that sang the music.
Like
Jack Scott. Who ever heard of
Canadian.
Jack Scott?
I haven't.
No, but he was big in the 50s. Again, that was our era for music. We were teenagers in the
Right,
50s,
right.
and that's when you get tuned into music. So that's
And
how.
I think just meeting each other's kids too was it was a nice meeting. It was casual. It was fun. It was they accepted both of us.
They were already kind of grown up,
Yes,
so there
and
was
that's
none
the
of that
difference, right.
childhood
Grown and flown.
animosity.
Yeah.
The first date when I went over to pick her up, I think her older daughter was 20 or 21, and the younger daughter was 19, I believe, right?
Okay.
And so so I go there, and her daughter is sitting on top of the couch, as kids do, and she is just burning a hole in me. Like, this is my mother. You
Yeah.
better be good to her. And I could feel it, but it
Yeah.
was like, kid, you have nothing to worry about. If nothing, I'm a gentleman. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mom. You insisted on it. I am a gentleman. You don't have to worry. But I understood it. This is my
It
mother.
was just
This
that
is my
body
mother.
language.
I don't know you.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
now, I mean, we've
Like,
always
you
been
better,
the best of
you
friends.
better be good to my mom or you'll deal with me type thing. right?
Yeah. Oh, and I
yeah.
loved it. I kind of liked that, but
Yeah.
I couldn't say anything. I could just, tell what you
Well, it's like
think.
when I met your daughter a couple weeks ago.
Carol, yeah.
You brought her by the station, and then I saw her again at your Christmas party.
Right.
And you could just tell y'all are family oriented, which I am too. I love doing stuff with my wife and my kids, and
I think when you're that age and you're meeting somebody,
now, I'm
It's
gonna preface this
easy.
like y'all keep talking about it. I'm 43, so
Right.
I'm the age that y'all would have been meeting or doing these things, right?
but you're in
Well,
a happy, committed relationship.
Yeah.
And so we needed to look and see
Like, is this
how
gonna
other
work?
people lived.
Yeah.
Did he keep a nice, clean house? It was important that Bill knew how to cook.
Were you
Now, that might-
compatible?
Were we compatible?
Right.
We were and are. As you say, we seem happy together. We are. And it doesn't mean we don't disagree. Of course we do.
Oh, everybody does.
But we've always done it with respect.
Yeah.
Never, in all the time
Yeah.
we've known each other, have we called each other a name that
That's
we
good.
regretted. Never. And I always say, once you start that, that's it. Then it breaks something that you can't repair.
Yeah.
So just don't do it. If you really care about someone and you get upset with them, turn and walk away, come back in 10 minutes and talk about it.
Yeah.
And, and we're both reasonable people. We can see each other's point after a while, and then just we'll figure out a way that's best for both of us.
I don't think Bill sees my point as well as I
I
do.
promise I will next week.
he doesn't see your point as well as you see your point.
Yeah.
I wonder if any of us actually see anybody else's point as well as we see.
No,
our
but
own.
you have to make it so you can still live with it.
Yes.
Seriously, and Marianne she doesn't say no to a lot of things. And I really found out when we first going together that anything I suggested, she'd say, oh, that's fine, that's fine. Finally, I said, seriously, after going together maybe for some matter of months, that, no, I want to know what you think. Everything I say is okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd rather do this. That's all I want to know. I
Yeah,
don't want
yeah.
everything. I don't want to make all the decisions. I don't want everything my way. And it
Yeah.
was, I regret it from this day saying that.
Let's let's do our let's pay our bills with our little station announcements.
Betcha.
Friends of Cathedral Music at the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist will present the male chorus Chanticleer performing Faith of Our Fathers, featuring 12th century English, Spanish, and Mexican polyphony and traditional American works. The event will take place on Sunday, January 19th at 5 p.m. at the Cathedral. More information is available at savannahcathedral.org.
WRUU 107.5 FM is a new and different listener-supported and all-volunteer community radio station for Savannah. Our diverse broadcast and web programming is supported by generous listeners who value our passion and our spunk. We're independent of other media and receive no government or large corporate support. People like you are the largest and most important source of our funding. So go to WRUU.org to find out how you can make a one-time or monthly contribution. Thank you.
WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia,
The
107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul.
All right, and welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Adam Messer Show here on WRUU-LP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM on WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul, and my special guests today are Mary Ann and Bill Cooper.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
thank y'all for being here
Thank you.
today. We've been talking
Pleasure.
about how y'all met and how you just been staying together and just enjoying each other's company. Bill, you do stand-up comedy.
Love it. Yes, I do.
Yeah, and Marianne, have you been to his shows?
Oh, yes.
Of course.
Is he funny?
He wakes up funny.
He wakes up funny.
Yes.
Does he keep you laughing?
Yes.
Is that one of the
I often
magic?
just have to say, stop. Just let me have my
knock
coffee.
it off.
Look at the time.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Don't you want? And he reads, and when I read the paper, he doesn't stop talking.
Oh, okay. I'm a chatty person too. I like to talk, but there's sometimes where it's like, oh, okay, that's enough. It's like, hey, just some silence.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. Now that means that we start the day off with a smile and a joke,
Yeah.
We end it with a smile and a joke.
Don't take yourself too seriously, right?
And don't take yourself too seriously and have a good time in between.
Yeah.
And I think also our upbringing, both of our parents had a sense of family and keeping a close-knit family. And I think that just kind of spilled over and helped Bill and I even enjoy meeting one another.
Well, Bill, what is your favorite part about doing stand-up?
Is once again, it's the reward of you saying something that you wrote. All my material is original.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying something that I wrote, and I didn't mean to put this stupid thing on.
Oh, that's okay. The phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
No, but I never even carry. It's the only day of the week I take it out, and it has to bother me.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. Talking about that, my last show with Bobby Nash. Right when I was getting into the show introduction, I was getting like a spam call, and it was ringing, and I was like, oh man, I forgot to set the do not disturb on the phone. So,
see, I never bring it anywhere. So anyway,
yeah,
I wanted to get it, rolling because I use that to photo.
Bass, you want to play some for us?
Thank you.
All right, here's
Oh, please.
Sebastian Messer. He's gonna play a little bit for us. Thank you, Sebastian. That is awesome. I really appreciate it.
He's a talented young man.
Oh yeah,
4
definitely.
years, 4 years of doing it. I mean, seriously, you wouldn't do it 4 years if you didn't like it, would you? No. So, but you've been doing it for 4 years, and you've come terrific. That's
You're always
very
learning
entertaining.
something new about it. I think that's one of the cool things about it. You were saying, like, how many hours have you spent practicing over the last 4 years?
I think it was like 8,000.
Yeah, like
Well, that's-
8,000 hours, and he's 17.
But that's why he's good.
Yeah.
I mean, he loves it, and
Yeah.
he good for you. That's really nice to see.
I think that's one of the cool things about it being a creative person is just exploring the stuff that you like. Doing the things like we're talking about you doing stand-up comedy.
Okay, yeah.
So
Anyway,
let's.
I just briefly, I've always been able to make people laugh.
Yeah.
And except teachers.
Okay. Why is
Most
that?
of them didn't like it because I'd be cutting up with,
Oh, you were the class clown.
I was the class clown down the office.
They were like, "You're disrupting my classroom time."
They have named and dedicated the detention hall after me.
I have a classroom clown story of my own.
Go fire away.
I didn't go to kindergarten or pre-K.
Okay.
I went to first grade, and my teacher, this is up in Cincinnati at Whittier Elementary, and my teacher sent a note home with my report card. Got all C's. My first ever report card. I got straight C's.
That's good.
Well, she puts on there that I was smart, but that I liked being the class clown. Oh man, my dad tore my behind up. I mean, you know what? The next quarter I got straight A's.
Yeah.
No more class clown stuff.
Well, he ruined you for life.
Well, you can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for dinner, right?
No, I know. Hey,
I like the little dad jokes. My son, he's like, oh, like have you seen these memes like little photos. With
Yeah,
the,
I know what you mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sebastian's like, my dad speaks in memes. I like funny stuff. I mean, I don't know.
Before you get in here, when we were talking to him,
Uh-huh.
I was telling him that he's almost 18. I said, then you can say to your folks, hey, listen, it's all over. You had your right. I'm an adult now, so here's the new rules.
Yeah. You said that. When do you want him to move in, Bill? When did you want to start fitting the bills? No,
I just
Sebastian's a
want you to
great
know
kid.
if he brings that up, who he got it from.
Yeah, I got a vote in this one.
Yeah. Well, you got that spare bedroom over at the house, right?
Yeah.
Marianne, you might have a boarder.
We'll take emergency cases only. But as my sister-in-law says, it has to be an exit date, too.
Oh,
You
yeah,
You
yeah,
can't
yeah,
just
definitely.
move in with your
No,
luggage. There has to be
no.
an exit date, too.
It's like you're in and out within 2 weeks. Get on.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I see you have the Savannah Quill sweatshirt on.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit something about it.
Okay, so you know that author expo you came to, Bill?
yeah.
Okay, and I know you were under the weather that day, but the Savannah Quill, I started that in May of 2016, and it is it's a community where connecting authors and readers to promote literacy. The last couple of years, I've done a convention, and then this year I did the with the Savannah Coffee Roasters.
Yes.
I partnered with them, and they hosted our Savannah Author Expo. So the Savannah Quill was just a thing that I came up with, and now it's really my publishing house. So it's just kind of like one of those things where I wanted to do something with writing and being an author, and so like my show, I talk to authors and artists and entertainers, and I really talk to creative people. So the Savannah Quill is kind of like the thing that I made up so that I could do that, just a way to do it. And then this year I wanted to change it up a little bit, so that's why I did the Savannah Authors Expo, because the Savannah Quill, if you look, you can see like there's a quill here,
Yes.
in the logo. I had commissioned an artist to do this logo for me, but when you say Savannah Authors Expo, it's evident. It's like, okay, well, this is about writing and stuff like
Right,
that. When I say the
exactly, yeah.
Savannah Quill, they like the logo and stuff like that, but it's a little confusing. So it's my little brainchild for writing and publishing and really connecting writers and readers to promote literacy. So even the Books and Brews thing that I do, that's a part of the Quill, because it's just a way to help the community. The Ronald McDonald Charity House.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got you on Facebook. I don't know if you're on Facebook or
I'm,
not.
I'm
but-
not on Facebook.
But
But I get
anyway,
it from
we
Bill,
do
so-
this little Books and Brews thing over at the Southbound Brewing Company,
Yes.
and we have authors over there, and we raise money for the Ronald McDonald House charities.
Nice.
So we raised like $497. So that's all part of like this little umbrella of the Quill. So
And you just basically started it not that long ago, right?
May of 2016.
Oh, well, a few
yeah.
years. But, I mean, so you've been into it and you've been promoting it.
We've
and
done
good for you.
bunch of done a bunch of meet and greet author things, and I've done 3 conventions now. 2 of them were at like a hotel, and this authors expo was at the Coffee Roasters. But it's just a way to get out there and especially for indies. It's kind of like with the comedy stuff. You go to these different shows and stuff
Get
like
your
that.
name
and-
out there. Exactly.
Yeah, you just
yeah.
meet with other people that have this similar interests and stuff.
One thing about the comedy, I just wanted to get into you. I was 69 the first time I did stand-up comedy.
Wow.
All right, and at 60, the first time I sat on a motorcycle, and now I ride one whenever it's not raining.
Wow.
So I kind of, I guess you call it a late bloomer, and I get to the point where I realize, listen, I'm done working. I worked part-time for a long time, and then I says, you know what, I got to do things I like to do.
Yeah,
and then
like
I,
the acting and
and that's it. And I got into acting first, and then, as from acting, Melanie Goldie says, "Bill, you're going to do stand-up. Come on down. I run a show." I said, "I've never done it."
Melanie's actually gonna be one of the poets at my poetry thing at East Shavers next month.
Oh, good. Yeah, because
Yeah.
she's terrific.
Do you like poetry, Marianne?
I liked some of it. I liked what you wrote.
Did you? Okay.
Some of the young kids' poetry is a little in your face for me, and it's they seem to be angry. They have an angry message. That's not
nothing
my
new though. I
cup
mean, I
of
remember
టీ.
like the beatniks or whatever doing that, right?
Yes,
like
exactly.
the slam poetry type
Yeah.
stuff.
I don't think the Beatniks were back in the 50s, and they were just cool. Like, whoa, man, laid out.
Who was it that did
It
that?
wasn't
though?
the Beatniks.
It was like
the
a group.
Beatniks
Like there was a bunch
I'll
of
tell you who it was.
'60s. They weren't hippies.
Jack Kerouac. Jack Kerouac, you've heard of him, the writer from Lowell. He wrote On the Road.
Yeah.
Okay. Him, Allen Ginsberg, those were the poets and writers of that time. And they call it the Beat Generation back then.
Okay.
Might
But
have
it
been more
wasn't-
the hippie generation that you're talking about.
It wasn't angry. It was different. It
Yeah.
was totally, as I said, they went off on a different avenue, and people, they didn't get it. But to me, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was just cool.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is so the 50s and 60s, you had a lot of the progressive movement with civil rights and things like that. So I think it's kind of a progression of that movement. Like it just continued on. And poetry, comedy is a great avenue for talking about, issues.
Yeah. And anyway, so I started then, and just briefly, I've told the story 100 times, even on my show. But the first time I did it, and Melanie talked me into it, it wasn't a lot of people there. It was a Tuesday night or Wednesday in the middle of a week, a place that's closed now, and on Broughton Street. And I went down there, and I wrote a set, and I get up there, and I did it, and crickets. I mean, crickets had crickets. Nothing. But I walked off the stage. Instead of being discouraged, I walked off smiling, saying, I'll be back.
Yeah.
And I went back the next week. And
Yeah.
a couple of people laughed at a couple of things I said. And that's your paycheck when you're doing comedy. That's your paycheck.
Yeah.
Same with when you do a live play instead of a film, you know right away if people like what you're doing. You can see the audience.
reaction.
You can hear the
Yeah.
and that really is your paycheck.
Yeah.
But anyway, I went back and then I figured out how to, because the biggest problem was my age. I was almost 70, and I'm talking to kids barely over 21, and I'm saying, how do I connect with them? I don't know their music. I don't know what shows they like. I don't know anything about them. How do
Yeah.
I connect with them? And I figured it out. Everyone eats, so I started making fun of food, and that was my connection.
That was
with
your
them.
end. There you go.
It was amazing when he would come home and he'd say, I bombed tonight. Now, if someone was to say that, you would think that they would have some anxiety going back and doing it again. Nope. He would go right in and write some more stuff, and the next week he'd get dressed and I'm going back, and I'm going to keep going back until I figure it out.
Yeah, I heard one time, I can't remember where it's from, but if it's worth doing, it's worth doing badly at first. You're not going to be.
I think it's better than starting off really good, because then you have a false sense of, oh boy, am I good? And I didn't want that. And I found out, hey, and I can take it. I'm too old to be tripped up by myself.
Right.
I'm the first one to laugh if I fall.
Right.
So that's how I, at my age, that's all I care about. So it didn't bother me failing, but I really wanted to do it. So I said, I will figure this out. It just made me more determined.
Just keep working at it.
Yeah.
That's cool. So do you go to a lot of the shows, Marianne?
I don't go to all of the shows. The ones that were happening while I was still working, and they wouldn't even start until 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And so I would say, have a good time.
Yeah.
I'll see you when you get back home.
Everybody, you're listening to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. And Bill and Marianne Cooper, you've been on the show today. We've been just talking, just kind of shooting the breeze.
Getting to know each other.
Yeah, talking a little bit more about the behind the scenes of y'all being married and sticking it out and being together.
You don't have enough time for the stories we have.
I know. What's talking about stories though? Excuse me, Marianne. Can you think of a time can you just think of one of your favorite stories that you like to tell about?
Not that one.
Well, actually, I have two, but I'll tell the better one.
Yeah.
As you know, Bill is a talker. He is never.
And I am too, so
Right.
don't feel bad.
So he's not ever without words to say.
Right.
And he had tried out. We went to a play at the JEA, and the director.
That's the Jewish Education Alliance.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the director, after the show, told the audience that he was going to be having auditions for an upcoming play that he was going to be in called Into the Woods.
Okay.
And Bill looked at me and he said, I said, well, yeah. I said, that sounds like something you wanted to get into. One of the reasons the movie was that he could enjoy some of the arts and things that he loved to do. And now he had the time to do it. So, they were going to have some auditions on a Monday night. And so Monday came and he said, that audition is tonight. And I said, yeah, you're going. And he said, "Yeah, I'm going." And he went. And there's a little story behind
if
that.
she said no, if she says, you've never done it. What are you doing? You're wasting your time. I probably wouldn't have gone. At that point, she says, "Yeah, you said you were, so
Yeah,
go." And
so
so now
go.
I had to.
So
he
was it a confidence issue, or was it just kind of like, I'm not really sure if I want to even get into another thing in my life?
Well, I wanted to go,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm saying, if being my wife and I listened to her, I really do. If she had said, this is silly, you've never acted in your life, what are you
What are
trying
you
to
doing?
prove,
What
or
are you
something
doing?
like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
then I would have said, okay, I get it, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
have gone out. I mean,
But
just
the opposite happened. She was supportive of it.
absolutely,
And said, hey, go explore
and has
this.
been
Right.
everything I've done. She has been supporting me. Anything I've succeeded at, she is a part of it, a big part of it, and just that's the way she is.
So let me just finish that. So he went, and during the audition, they were all young people that could sing, and they had their sheet music. And here he goes in with, he didn't even know how to do the scales, but he went, and he came home and he said, I forgot the director's name. Bob somebody would call on Thursday and let him know if he got
Patterson. Excuse me, Bob Patterson.
Bob Patterson would call and let him know if he got the part. So Thursday came, and that was one of the days that I had worked, and he was going out with a buddy to the Sand Gnats game over at Grayson Stadium because it's Thirsty Thursday. You gotta go. So he said, but Bob hasn't called at 6 o'clock. I guess I didn't get the part.
Okay.
So lo and behold, Bob calls after he's at the game, and he gave me the message that Bill got the part. So he walked in the door, and I said, "Bill, Bob Patterson called." I mean, he jumped back. His mouth went open, and I said, "You got the part." Nothing came out. Not a word.
I was
Nothing.
stunned.
Wow.
And that was the first time that he's been speechless. There was one other time, but that was the first time.
Wow.
I went up against over 60 people, and there was, in fact, that was the first night, so there might have been over 100 people who tried out for 19 parts. And I had never done it in my life, and I got a part. I was stunned. I mean, I really was stunned. Like,
Yeah.
you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And then I was just thrilled. And from then on, I said, that was it. I was stuck. I mean, anytime
And
there's a play I can
Been
do.
in a lot of parts and
I've been in
movies and stuff like that around
maybe
town.
18 local plays. I've been in 50 SCAD films, so a couple of big films that came through just as
Yeah.
extras. But I mean, yeah.
Did you
I love
ever
doing
hear
it.
back from those folks for that one we had sent you the message about? The dad show or whatever?
Yeah, I did, but they didn't get back to me after
Oh,
I
okay.
contacted them.
Oh yeah. That's how it goes, right?
Oh, I
It's
know.
That's
Yeah.
just the way it goes. I wasn't able to do it the day that they needed some extra work, and
Right.
I had it's kind of crazy, but I had just had my first dip in the water this past summer when the Travel Channel came to town, and I was on that America's Most Haunted or Most Terrifying Places or whatever, and we did that one about Moon River. It was pretty neat.
Nice.
Yeah. So
We actually had one of those, like a Ghostbuster company, come and filmed one of the. I can't remember what it was. Some kind of a bloody, gory thing in our house.
oh wow.
And Bill was one of the
Ghost Adventures.
Ghost Adventures.
Oh yeah. Ghost Adventures. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a guy named Scott Tepperman. I think he was on one of those. I don't know if it was a Ghost Adventures or one of the other shows, the Ghost Adventures, like a different city type thing or whatever. I can't remember what it was, but
They move it around from city to city, and they
Yeah.
happen to become in the Savannah, and they
Someone
chose.
happened to mention, they're looking for someone with a hallway. And so Bill said, "I've got a hallway."
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they came and they looked at it and they said, "This will work." And it was related to an incident that happened here in Savannah about a bloody massacre with a couple of women, I think. It was really,
It was the Dribble House
The Dribble
murders,
House.
and 3 women were murdered. And in fact, it's where it's at one of the garages they parked the trolleys in today,
oh yeah,
and it's on Liberty Street.
yeah.
And that was a rooming house at the time, and they said it was haunted from that point on. Mm-hmm. And I played the axe murderer.
Oh nice.
It was cool. Are you
Yeah.
kidding?
So do you have any? Do y'all have any sage advice or words of wisdom for folks out there who might be looking for their soulmates? That
I'll say it briefly. It's going to happen when you're not looking.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I mean, that doesn't mean it's always the case. But don't press for it. Don't want to get married. Don't, because then you're going to jump for the wrong person. It'll come. You'll know when it's real. You'll know everything that you wanted ain't there, but everything you should have asked for is there. I think that's the only way I can describe it.
Marianne?
Be patient.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Don't settle. And it'll come and find you.
That's good. That's good. Well, I know we've got the Savannah at Night group coming up next. But yeah, that's a great group. It's Bill Cooper and the gang. So I really appreciate y'all being on the show today. It's been a lot of fun. I wanted to do something because I was like, I keep bumping into y'all, and you seem like such a nice couple, and
Well, you're a
We'd
nice
love to do it
guy,
again.
Adam. That's why you know nice people. You're a good guy.
yeah.
Your
try.
son's super, kid.
Oh yeah.
You
But
tell
I
me
have
your
a
wife
request.
is super.
Yeah.
So.
I would love for you to interview David Sedaris.
David Sedaris. Oh, let's put that on the.
I'm not even sure he's still alive.
Oh, he is. Oh, he's live and he traveled. He came to Savannah a couple years ago, and PBR sponsors him. They just sell out as soon as the tickets are
He
available.
is amazing. He is a quick Bill story. We were taking a flight out to Portland, Oregon, to a niece's wedding, and Bill does not like to fly, and we needed to get to the wedding, and that's the only way you can get there is to fly and have some time there. So I said, "Oh boy, I got to do something to keep this man occupied while he's on an uncomfortable seat." So
So you have to talk your head off, right?
David Sedaris had written a Christmas book,
Yeah.
and it made me laugh out loud.
Wow.
And I said, I'm taking it. So we get on the plane, and after we get settled in, and it really is uncomfortable for him. He's a tall man, and
Yeah.
it's just uncomfortable. And so I said, I think you might like this book. Okay. Yeah, all right, I'll take a look at it. And all of a sudden, now when I don't hear anything and there's no response, and all of a sudden he starts laughing out loud.
Nice.
And he read that book the entire flight.
Nice.
And it just made the trip a little easier.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I will reach out to David Sedaris. I would love to have him on the show. I mean, it sounds like an interesting guy.
I'll make the cookies.
You'll make the cookies. Yeah, you know what? We'll do that. If we can get him on the show, you can come in. And I don't know if he'll be able to be in the studio, but maybe
Right.
we can get on the phone.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I bet you could. In fact, check with PBS because they have a connection with them.
Awesome.
You know.
All right, everybody. Well, you've been listening to the Adam Messer Show. My special guests today have been Marianne and Bill Cooper. And up next is the Savannah at Night group. So you get to hear more from Bill and the gang.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, very, very Merry Christmas. Thanks for having us. This has been fun. We'll do it again, eh?
Definitely. Definitely.